big weekend series upcoming as the Indiana Hoosiers come to Alexander Field. The Boilermakers rolling off yet another weekend sweep out of conference this weekend against Murray State. Hi, I'm Kyle Charters on This Week in Purdue Baseball with the SID, Ben Turner, and a pinch hitter today, the pitching coach for the Boilermakers. Greg Goff is fine, by the way, just giving an opportunity to highlight some other guys, including Josh Newman, the pitching coach. Great to have you on the show.
Yes, sir. Thank you all for having me.
Well, you're here for good reason. Your pitching staff has pitched very well, including over the weekend in the sweep against the Racers. But you've really gotten this staff into shape, and really a big part of why the Boilermakers set with 2 weekends to go in the regular season at 32-15.
I appreciate those kind words. It's a collective group. We're very special and fortunate here in our program. And the support staff that we have, from our trainer and Kayla, what she does day in and day out, endless hours that she puts in, to our strength coach, Coach Webb. I could go through the list. Coach Fascia, a guy that has stepped in his first year coming back and doing what he does on the road and the day-to-day logistics, coordinating everything. And then you look at our coaching staff and Coach Media helping out in the bullpen and doing what he does, and Coach Brenneman and Coach Serrato, and Coach Goff allowing me the opportunity to be here and be in my third year now. And, we're doing some special things.
Yeah, there are some special things for sure. There are a couple wild streaks here recently, and I'll have to read some of these off. 27 consecutive innings without a walk by your pitching staff from April 26th to May 2nd. 3 games in a stretch of 4 without a walk. Another one, Purdue has not trailed after a full inning in a weekend game at Alexander since April 5th. That's 61 consecutive innings. But I think all those things just speak to the job that the pitching staff has done to keep you guys in games, to allow the offense to do its thing. And, man, when you throw strikes, you give your team an opportunity.
Yes, sir. I mean, I don't care from little leagues to the big leagues. The teams that throw the most strikes and teams that limit the freebies you're going to have an opportunity to win baseball games. Yeah. And it's something that we preach day in and day out. We call it process driven. I know process is kind of a loose word in our in the world we're in right now, but to us, process, there's a lot of intangibles that go in, and those process driven charts have been fun to see at the end of the series, and how we grade and how we continue to evaluate, because there's still a lot of things that we got to continue to do better than what we're doing right now.
The rotation has really come together with CVA and Erdman being locked in at Friday and Saturday all season. Klug and Evans have really had their moments, strong starts along the way as well, while kind of splitting that Sunday role. And really the success of a staff, it feels like, starts with consistency from the weekend rotation. It all begins there.
Yes, sir. I mean, Cole Van Assen at the forefront of that. And what he is, I mean, you all get to see him on his start day. I'm fortunate enough to be around this young man and how he lives his life, how he handles himself off the field on days that he's not pitching. He's just a winner. And I could go through the list of what we have in that locker room right now. There's many awesome stories that we have. But he is a Boilermaker, and he does things the right way all the time.
And he's a guy that, got here when you got here in many ways. That you maybe didn't recruit him. You were at Penn State at the time when CVA signs on, but you guys joined forces together and have found a way to make it work. And I feel like he exemplifies what you talked about the strike throwing and giving your team a chance to win every week.
Yes, sir. I mean, he's consistent. I mean, with everything he does, and he's always striving to be better than he is, better today than he was yesterday. And, I joke with him all the time. He didn't get to choose me in certain ways, But, yeah. Man, I'm thankful he's here because, just what he represents and having the opportunity to help him, and he helps me out immensely in a lot of different ways. And it's just a young man that he represents everything that you dream of as a coach, and to have him year 1 and now we're in year 3 together, to see him grow and to who he is and what he represents, and then the output that he gives us on game day is definitely special. So
you don't have an overwhelming number of flamethrowers out there. Jake Kramer can ratchet it up a little bit for you. Thomas Howard maybe a little bit too. But it does speak to how your guys like CVA and Erdman and Klug and others, have to be able to go out there and pitch to contact. And you've relied upon your defense. And the defense probably has been one of the bright spots. I don't know if it's necessarily a surprise, but has played pretty well all season long. And, that combination has really worked well for you. For, guys that aren't going to rack up 10 strikeouts a game, the opponent's putting the ball in play and you guys are making plays.
Yeah, we talk about the 3 Ps all the time in our program on the pitching side of it, for me especially. Pace, presence, pitchability. Again, I don't care from little leagues to the big leagues. Guys that have a pace that they work at, the tempo, it's a big deal. Like we want to create tempo. We chart the time of possession. We want to be on and off the field when we pitch, and we want to be in the dugout a long time when we're hitting. We win the time of possession. It's real simple. You're going to score more than the other team.
Yeah.
The presence, that's something that is you get that through preparation. The work that we put in. You don't show up on game day exuding confidence if you haven't put in the work, right? And then the pitchability piece, that's all the intangibles, holding runners, we talk about all the time, being able to execute high leverage pitches with runners on base, controlling the running game. And you talked about the velocity thing. We do have some guys that can run it up there. We constantly are preaching working speed with our pitchers, and guys being able to work at a speed that's going to allow them to command the baseball. And then when they need to dial it up, they should have it in there to do that.
Yeah.
So,
one big area I think that you probably focused on during the offseason to try to bolster was the bullpen, provide a little bit more depth there, and certainly recruiting helped you out significantly there. Kramer, as we mentioned, Howard, Trevor Kester-Johnson, Graham Collin all have pitched very well for you and been newcomers this year. How much has that bullpen? And there was a stretch too, not going to remember the exact dates, through the Northwestern weekend in which your bullpen pitched 19 1/3 innings, scoreless, which is just during Big Ten play, which is just an incredible streak. But it does speak to how well those newcomers and some of your holdovers from last year have pitched this well.
Yes, sir. Those guys have got, they're allowed to get better, and they have.
Yeah.
When we sat down last year and, evaluating a big picture, one of the things that we felt as a staff, we needed dynamics, different dynamics, and meaning, a high slot guy with ride, or we need a guy, a sinker slider, we need a guy to be able to back in with a swing and miss type stuff. And, Coach Serrato is the best I've ever been around on the recruiting side, and a lot of things that he does, he's the best I've been around as an assistant. And he spearheads our recruiting efforts, gets us on the right guys, and making sure the background and the makeup match what Purdue is about.
Yeah.
We're gonna be tough, and we're gonna be prepared, and we're blue collar, and we're gonna work, and those dynamics that we went after, and it's not a finished product by any means, but the puzzle is in place, and we're putting guys in roles that they should be successful in.
We noticed this about you when you were at Penn State and watching from the opponent's point of view, but your affinity for those combinations, like throwing CVA and then Thomas Howard, two guys who have pretty different looks, and then using Trevor Kester-Johnson for an out or two before going to Jake Kramer, because those two guys couldn't be any more different.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you sort of, we noticed it when you were with the Nittany Lions, and of course here, just that you like to be able to throw those combinations out there.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Cole Van Assen, a sinker slider guy. His pitch profile, without getting into all the analytics, is totally different than the Thomas Howard.
Yeah.
And when you're going through elite lineups, and in our conference, there's several teams that put lineups out there that are elite offensively. You got to have some different looks, and to run the same look out there for 9 innings is insanity, right? Especially with the stuff that we're running out there. Again, putting guys in situations to be successful. So matching guys up. We meet every day and as a staff, and we go over that stuff, and then having a game plan. Okay, what pitch profile is going to look, give it a different look, so to speak, for the opposing lineup, and those are two totally different pitch profiles in those guys. And then you look at matchups. What on the scouting side of this, when we break teams down and we're evaluating, our pitching staff and how we can get guys out, and I'm looking at the video, and then we got the analytics side of it. How does a guy stay on a sweeping breaking ball? Like Gavin Buter is more of a sweeper. Or we need a two-plane breaking ball, get with tilt down, Again, that's my job as a pitching coach to study and have a game plan in place. And then when we sit down as a staff and we map it out, it's not perfect by any means, but I think we've done a great job of putting our young men in situations to be successful.
Jackson Bessette's going to be the player guest on the episode this week, and he's been an Ironman for you guys behind the plate since the end of March. Tell us a bit of how much the pitchers appreciate the catchers, specifically Sergio, Thomas Lynch. I'll even throw Kes McBride and the bullpen catchers in there for what they do.
Nash is another one, student bullpen catcher. Those guys, the amount of time they put in behind the scenes with our guys, catching flat grounds, and just a lot of things that people don't see on that we get every day being around them, and a lot of times it's a thankless job, but those guys are a huge part of what we do. Wouldn't be able to do what we're doing without them for sure, and it takes all of them. But you look at the output that Bessette has given us behind the plate, truly coming into his own and understanding, how we're breaking hitters down and the feedback that he gives us in between innings of what he's seeing, where our misses are at, how we can, who we need to communicate differently with. And now even, diving into mound visits, when we're out there, okay, how can we get this guy back on track? Or is it simply just, talking first and third defense or whatever the situation is? He is coming into his own, and he's really taking it to the next level on the communication and how to handle a pitching staff. I was fortunate my first year here. We had Connor Cascanet, best I've been around in college. Matt Wood at Penn State comes to my mind. He's right up there with him. But he is starting to be, he's doing things behind the scenes with our pitching staff, and now he's taking it to the game day. And it's so fun to see the game rewarding him. Because a lot of times it doesn't. This game can beat you down. And you look at his offensive production, I'd hate to even guess what his expected batting average would be, but the production that he's been able to say, okay, now it's this defense, I'm going to lock in with the pitchers. Unbelievable job of what he's doing right now. We've
mentioned Penn State a couple times. You're also an Ohio State alum. Your coaching career started there.
Yes, sir.
You're a Big Ten lifer in many ways. Kyle and I always look at the Big Ten through a Purdue point of view. Well, you've lived at 3 different schools now, and
yes,
we just
sir.
so happened that we hosted both Penn State and Ohio State this year. Is it tough for you sometimes to play against those other teams, like having lived that life and worn those colors and been in those dugouts and part of the program to see them? I mean, does that come with pro ball, having gone through pro ball and knowing that, part of it is a job and a career? And I mean,
you're going to get me emotional here, okay? I don't want to do that.
Well, you're the one point of person really that can speak.
Fireside chat here.
Look, the baseball has given me and my family, I owe everything to this game. And having the opportunity to go back to Ohio State when I got done playing with Greg Beals and learned early on that it's not about me, it's about the young men that have given me an opportunity to wear the uniform, to be a part of their journey, to give back to the game, and as so many coaches did for me. I said I wasn't going to get emotional, but those relationships mean everything to me. I wouldn't be here today without people giving me an opportunity, and those young men and those relationships that I had. My son was born at Ohio State. My other son was born at Penn State. And my daughter was born when I was in Omaha in AAA. And we've kind of been all over the map in certain aspects. But the 6 years I was at Penn State, incredible. The people and the young men I had the opportunity to coach and work under Rob Cooper. And then now this is year 3, and Purdue is special in so many ways. And it's just so thankful that I've been fortunate to be able to do what I've done for as long as I have. And I said this the other day, but I think the best is yet to be. I look at what we're doing here and the guys that we're on, and the recruiting side of this. It's ever evolving with the landscape of it now. But those relationships and those young men I carry with. So to answer your question, it is tough. I root for those guys because I wouldn't be here today without them.
I would imagine that one of those guys that you're very close with and love seeing his success after his collegiate career is a guy that followed you from Penn State here, and that's Jordan Morales, who was our Friday starter a few years ago, pitched against Northwestern in the Wrigley Field game, a victory in 2024, and recently has signed with the White Sox organization. Just a guy that I would imagine you feel very close with and are excited to see him get that pro opportunity.
Yes, sir. Man, that's one of many. I've been fortunate to, I believe 5 big leaguers now that in my career I've coached in the college side of it. But winners, not everybody can become a big leaguer, but to see a young man chase his dream, that does things the right way, and to see him grow as a human being and mature in all facets, it's a feeling that it's hard to explain to people, the joy of that, I'm incredibly excited to see where this is going to take him, and I know he's already done well. And as a White Sox fan yourself, you got to be happy to see that too.
Well, hopefully he'll get it all the way to the south side, but that first outing for Kannapolis in Class A was a good one,
yes,
so
sir.
He's off to a good start.
Yeah.
We wanted to hear from you a little bit about working with Greg Goff. It's unique that you're working for a guy who was a pitcher,
yes, sir.
and then was a pitching coach, and then opted to, become an offensive coach in many ways as the figurehead of the program. It feels like that's kind of a unique scenario, that doesn't happen very often, but he lets you be you from what we've seen.
Yes, sir. Coach Goff represents everything that I could dream of being as a person, as a coach. How he lives his life, a man of faith, challenges us to be the best we can be. And that's, I got to see that. I was fortunate enough. He recruited me when I was in high school. Got to see his coaching journey firsthand when he was at Tech and those guys were rolling. I was at Marshall. Wasn't fun, but just the respect I had for a man that poured his heart and soul from the outside looking in on game day. And then knowing who he is as a person, how he runs his program, and the expectations he has for us and our young men in that locker room. And it doesn't waver. And, that's a guy that, I want to be like in every way.
Certainly feels like a coaching staff that has some great cohesion right now, for sure. You mentioned Barrett Serrato, Jimmy Brenneman, those guys, and seems like you guys are headed in the right direction for sure, not just this season, but as you mentioned, for years to come. Let's talk a little bit about this season. You guys have put yourself in a good position here with 2 weekends to go without giving me the full scouting report of the Hoosiers. I know that you feel like IU is better than what the record indicates, and they've got some guys out there in that lineup that your staff's going to have to be certainly aware of this weekend.
Yes, sir. We're diving into those guys, and, they're a talented group, but so are we.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm going to roll. We're going to continue to do what we do. We got a practice plan already in place for today. We're going to take care of today, and then so tomorrow matters even more. We pride ourselves in the process driven, as I said, but we're going to put a product out there starting on the first pitch on Friday night that's going to make our fans excited and proud of.
This is sort of what you play for and coach for, right? To be in these positions that you're in, where every game, every pitch, every inning. Yeah. It all matters for Big Ten tournament seeding, for NCAA tournament resume. It's all important, and that's where you want to be with 2 weeks to go.
Yes, sir. And then you look at all the obstacles that we've overcome. We spoke on this earlier. The 2 arms that we lost right there at the end of the summer that were signed and drafted. And some of the injuries we've had on the position side of it. But that's the beauty of coaching. We get to develop our young men along the way. Me being a Ohio State guy, I think of the year they won the national championship with Urban Meyer and the third-string quarterback, right? Yeah. Those guys were coached, they were developed, and they were ready when the bell rang. Mm-hmm. That's our job as coaches. We recruit elite student-athletes to come in to get those guys better, to prepare them for when their name is called, and that's what we're doing.
Well, it's been fun to watch. Will be fun to watch again this weekend against the Hoosiers and the rest of the season. Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you all for having me.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. Jackson Bessette will join us on This Week in Purdue Baseball.
play championship golf at the Burke Boilermaker Golf Complex. Enjoy great food and great drinks at the new Pete Dye Clubhouse and shop official Purdue gear at the Purdue Pro Shop. Experience it all now at PurdueGolf.com.
Let's bring in Jackson Bessette on This Week in Purdue Baseball, talk a little bit about the Boilermakers and preview the weekend series against the Hoosiers as well. Thank you for coming on. You've been busy catching a lot. What is it, 18 consecutive games now behind the plate. You've been working Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which is a challenging thing to do through the weekend. Do you like getting all that playing time?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Yeah, I do like it. I enjoy it a lot. And, I mean, I think the main reason why I enjoy it so much is that I don't really get a chance to think that much. And that's really what, can send the roller coaster going downhill sometimes. So I always like to stay busy.
Yeah.
I think that too. But, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
What's, in your opinion, what's your number one priority as a catcher? Because you have sort of your hand in everything, right? From maintenance and control of the staff to needing to go out there and hit as well, to helping to keep runners on, from moving around the bases to calling defensive plays. I mean, there's a lot for you. So, what do you sort of prioritize as your number one goal as the starting catcher?
My number one priority is just having that, like, a good communication and rapport with my pitcher.
Yeah.
I think that's really one thing that I've learned a lot as I went through college, is that's the most important part, is just working together. Because if it's just one side, just kind of, and we're not on the same page, I mean, first of all, I'll be out there for a long time, and then he's going to be out there for a long time.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work. And then the flow of the game and the pace of play really gets thrown off when that doesn't happen. So I feel like taking control and then working with my pitcher to control the pace of the play and get us off the field as quick as possible is my number one priority. But, I mean, from a physical standpoint, it's always receiving first. I'm trying to get as many calls back there. And then also, I feel like something that kind of goes under the radar, too, is building rapport with the umpire. Because, he's got to be right behind me getting – I mean, first of all, smelling me because I'm back there all the time. But, I mean, just having a nice rapport and being able to talk with the pitchers, the umpires, because they do such a great job, too.
Yeah.
That also helps us move through the game as fast as possible, too.
Right.
So.
The first hand that you shake after a victory is actually the umpire, correct?
Yep.
And that's
Always.
probably a good feeling when you get to do that, because it means you won the game.
Yep.
So that along with the pace, which Josh Newman just talked about, we don't think about pace and time of possession in baseball, but he gave some good insight on that front as well. It's good to hear from you as well. And I guess you can help swing the time of possession a little bit by what you do at the plate. And that's been on point during this, Ironman run that you've been on. A hit and an RBI in every game last week, and especially at Alexander, feels like you've really been locked in as of late. Has it felt that way as well?
Yeah, I love playing at home. It's such a great field. And, I also like playing away, too. It's a lot of different experiences, so can't hate on it. But, yeah, us being out there on defense for the shortest amount of time possible, and then us hitting for as long as possible, it's just kind of like the recipe to success, I feel like. And then just keeping that rhythm throughout the game, I think that's one thing. The rhythm of the game is very important, and then that goes along with the momentum, too. But, yeah, I think that's important.
Throwing strikes and putting up zeros. The staff has really been good at that this year. To go 27 consecutive innings without allowing a walk. You all have to be, whether it's you or the pitchers, have to be proud of that. And then, this past week, to have 23 zeros over the first 27 innings of that week. That's pretty good. That's pretty impressive. And that shows why you go 4-0, like those type of things. That all adds up to success.
Yeah, definitely. Our pitching staff, I got to say, they take really good care of me, too, with the no walks, all stuff like that, too, with being back there for so long. I've never even heard of a number like that in my entire life, or been on a team where it's been like that. So, it's very impressive, and like you said, it makes sense why we went 4-0.
This is probably one of the deeper bullpens that we've been around, Ben and I, for a number of years. I don't know, you have to have confidence going pretty deep into that group, I would imagine. Just what's that like to feel like, no matter who's coming out of the bullpen, you have a pretty good rapport with and feel like, that player is going to have a good opportunity to have success?
Yeah, I mean, our bullpen has kind of been the story, I feel like, even early throughout the year. I mean, you guys know the statistics better than me. They didn't let up a run for a very long time. But, I mean, after getting quality starts from all three of our guys this weekend and then having any of the guys in the bullpen come in and just knowing they're going to do their job, whether it is get ground balls, get punch-outs, stuff like that, keep runners off base, take possession of inherited runners and deal with that in a good way. I mean, it's really important. And then, obviously knowing the guys, I've said this before, but we're an especially tight group of guys. But, that also goes in the rapport that comes in from the bullpen. And then they have the comfortability to throw the pitches they need to throw with me back there. And that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
So they've done a great job.
You have the unique perspective, I think, of sort of being an auxiliary member of the pitching staff in some ways, so you get to see sort of up close the relationship between Josh Newman and his players. What's that like from your vantage point to see how they interact?
Yeah, me and Newman agree on a lot of stuff, and especially with the way we pitched last weekend, I thought it was really great, just the sequencing of everything. But seeing him work with the pitchers, it's all about going forward and not going backward. Obviously there's things that you need to improve upon, look at yourself in the past and improve upon, but everything is about next pitch. What are we going to do to this guy? What shouldn't we do to this guy? What we need to do. And at the end of the day, it just comes down to executing with what you got. It doesn't matter, like, maybe your sinker's not sinking as much as it normally does. Who cares? Get the guy out. You got good enough stuff, and I believe that each one of our guys has good enough stuff to get guys out when they execute. So I think Newman just relaying that to the pitching staff, to the pitchers, I think that's very important, and I couldn't agree more. But it's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
A lot of newcomers in the mix this year, which is nothing new this decade, but you're unique in that you had already played at Alexander before you became a Boilermaker, and you had success there as well. We think about that 14-inning game your freshman year at UIC. I think you caught all 14 innings.
That was my sophomore year.
The Flames won that game, and then a 2-homer game at Alexander last year against Purdue in March, and maybe that's another one that put you on Purdue's radar to another extent, but to now flip sides of it, and become a Boilermaker at Alexander. Was that part of it, though, that when you decided to go in the portal, that what you had done here already maybe attracted you to it a little bit?
No, actually, it's kind of the opposite. I feel like I didn't really make my decision based off anything that I had done there. Obviously it was at the back of my mind. First and only 2-homer game in college. But hopefully not. We got more games coming.
Sure.
No, it didn't really make much of a difference to me than already playing there. It's a beautiful field, but Purdue's such a great university, and what really made my decision was the university and then the coaching staff too. Because when I had talked to them originally, it wasn't really when I went into the portal, it wasn't really on my radar of places I wanted to go. But the more I kept talking and then came on the visit, it was kind of like, wow, this is the real deal. Like, this is Power 4 baseball. Like, this is pretty awesome. And I'm like, I get to play against the best competition, and I got a feeling that we're going to be really good this year. So I'm like, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Rivalry week against Indiana. Of course, the two programs have a long history in all sports. They certainly have a history in baseball as well. I would imagine that your approach and your team's approach is to try to stay as level as possible, considering what you're playing for here over the next couple of weeks going into the Big Ten tournament and potentially the NCAA tournament. Just is that the mindset, even though it's a rivalry and the Hoosiers will certainly have a lot to play for as well, that you guys just have to try to go out there and do your jobs?
Yeah, I think Serrato said it best. We got to win one game 7 times, and I think if we really try and we just can't get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah,
that's really what it comes down to, and I think we've done a great job of that this year. Just like if you want to win 3 games a weekend, you got to win the first one and then the second one and then the third one. So it's like just being able to have that mentality. Honestly, I don't know how many guys we have on the roster, but 1 through 40.
Yeah.
Everybody, we just got to win every single pitch. That's really what it comes down to, and we've done a great job of that so far, staying level. And then even if stuff doesn't work out in our favor, I think we're really good at bouncing back, especially inning to inning, game to game.
Yeah, certainly saw that after the road trip west and how well you guys played this last weekend. You've taken some good road trips this year, 10 days in Texas, out to the East Coast, going to the Chicagoland area, of course, to play Northwestern, the long trip to Southern California. We'll have another one to Iowa, and then Omaha, and hopefully one into the NCAA tournament as well. Just any favorite memories from being out on the road with the guys this year?
Oh, my God. A lot of stuff I can't say on camera. But, I mean, Texas was just a lot of fun because we just got to go. I mean, it was beautiful weather in February.
Yeah.
So that. And then, I mean, just being able to go to, like, a lot of different places that I've never been. Like, I'd probably never go to Maryland, like, ever.
Yeah.
USC. I mean, I had been to California, but that was different just playing in that environment. It was a lot of fun, even though, you know, the result wasn't what we wanted or expected at all. But
Yeah.
favorite memories, I think just winning. Winning in different places is a lot of fun. So that, and of course, a lot of stuff I can't say on camera.
We like to give you a chance to shout out some teammates, and we also like to hear who's a tough matchup for you at the plate. And I guess since you have the unique standpoint of being a catcher as well, who is sometimes tough to catch?
All right, I'll answer the shout-out one first. I want to shout out to all of our bullpen catchers like Kess and then obviously Tomcat. They kind of go through – they do the dirty work that no one sees. And, I mean, I've been there too, so I know what it's like. But I think they do a job that's very important that doesn't get enough recognition. But what was the second question?
Who's a tough matchup for you at the plate, and then who's one that you feel like is sometimes tough to catch based on the way that they release the ball or the movement they have, et cetera?
Okay. I had the hardest time hitting off TKJ. I did not like that matchup at all. I mean, righty-lefty, but
We've heard that a couple times.
Yeah.
Everything's moving and nothing is the same speed.
no, it's a tough at-bat. I mean, it's just so funky. It's kind of hard to – I don't know.
We get it. We've seen him plenty this year. So, is he as tough to catch as he is to hit?
Not really. I mean, I don't have an issue catching anybody anymore because I've seen him enough. And, I mean, TKJ's got like 30 appearances or something.
Yes, a lot.
So I've seen a lot of them.
Yeah.
But, yeah, if I had to say one, it's probably TKJ just because, I mean, everything's –
Sure.
Yeah.
Closest thing to a knuckleball.
From down here, and I'm like, okay. But no, it's not hard to catch them at all.
Fair enough. All right, so we'd like to learn more about you, JB, in the personal preferences segment. There are no wrong answers, as I like to say, but we do have you pick a number, 3 numbers, in fact, and this week we're down to between 1 and 12.
Okay, 3, 4, 5.
All right, 3 in a row. Favorite playoff format or marquee event?
I don't know what that means.
Okay, think about like the NBA Finals or the World Series or the gold medal game for hockey that we saw while we were in Texas. Maybe the players didn't get to see, but I did. What's your best event on the sporting calendar that you most look forward to?
Oh, October. Playoff baseball.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
Okay.
Being able to come home every day and start watching playoff baseball at 4 o'clock in the afternoon is a solid start to
Sure,
October.
I'm with you. It's my favorite month of the pro sports calendar by far. All right, we talked about your teammates toughest to hit, since you're a hitter to face. Current MLB pitcher that you'd most like to face.
Ooh. Can it be a big leaguer or a minor leaguer?
Either one. I mean, we'll give you the leeway here to.
All right, so I want to. He's going to be up soon, but there's a guy in the Yankees system. His name's Ben Hess. I played with him in high school, and then he was at Bama my freshman year when we played Bama. I didn't get to play in that game, but I won an at-bat off him. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that would be fun.
Now, did he was a teammate in high school, or this is club ball, or?
Yeah, travel ball.
Okay, travel ball in the Chicagoland area.
But if I had to pick one currently, Schlittler from the Yankees.
Yeah.
Fair enough. A couple of guys in the Yankees.
Schlittler, yeah.
Yes. Who has made himself a lot of headlines based on his ties to Boston. Feels like he's going to be a lightning rod in that rivalry series for a while, so that's fun to see. All right, last one here. Foreign country you'd most like to visit?
Ireland.
Asked and answered. Have you been to cross the pond yet?
No, I haven't. The only place I've been outside the country is Canada, and it wasn't like really outside the country. I went to Windsor, Ontario.
I did once find by myself too, and it's like, do we even count this?
But it's fun. I mean, it's worth going when you're 19, but
Sure,
not
yes.
really worth
We've
going.
heard the stories.
It's not really worth going when you're 22. But no, I want to go to Ireland. I know I have a lot of heritage that goes back to Ireland, and I know my grandma really wants to go too. So
Cool.
yeah.
Very good. Well, it's been exciting to watch you and the guys play. Excited about these last 2 weekends. I think you sort of said it earlier, just got to take it one game at a time. But it should be an exciting weekend at Alexander. I would imagine that you've enjoyed when the weather's nice and the fans get out. And I think Ben could probably look it up, but the average attendance for IU games in Alexander Field is probably over 2,000. And I would guess that as long as the weather holds out this weekend, it will be again. But those have got to be great atmospheres.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, coming from a place where we didn't really get that much fans, well, there wasn't really much of a student life, so
Yeah.
to speak. It was a commuter campus, but we still did get a lot of pull. But then coming here and playing in front of a home crowd of up to 2,400 people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable. And then the atmosphere is great. And obviously, I'd played in those environments on the road, but having one at home like that is really special to me. So.
Jackson, thanks for the time. It's been a pleasure to watch you guys, and we'll be here over the last couple of weeks of the season. All right, that'll do it for us for this week on the podcast. Thanks to Josh Newman earlier, Jackson Bessette, for Ben Turner. I'm Kyle Charters. Thanks for watching this week in Purdue Baseball.